past must die to truly serve the future.
The movie starts with a scene of some security officials in traffic at a checkpoint. Here is Mr. Craig, his maid and driver. Suddenly, some group of men led by Angel started shooting. The shot at Mr. Craig's car, however, his local car prevented the gunshot. Angel ordered his gang to pour petrol on the vehicle and threatened to burn the vehicle if they refused to open the door. Craig stepped out of the car and Angel hugged his gang to take Craig and a baby to their car. But before they could leave the scene, a group of policemen rushed in and engaged in a gun battle to rescue Craig. One of Angel's gang was apprehended while others escaped. Next scene, at the police station, Angel's gang member who was apprehended was seen released. In a radio news, it was announced that the suspect in Craig family kidnapping escaped police custody yesterday, describing the suspect as male, dark, tall, and with dreadlock hair. Paul Edima and his son at the beach got home. Paul chatted with his son, told him he would preach in church that evening, and encouraged his son, who does not believe in God, to come to church. Reluctantly agreed to be in church after work. Later that day, Paul, on his way to church, was greeted by a woman, thanking him for his support towards her son. While Victoria, a journalist, was in a cab on her way to her office, a radio show was playing and someone called into the show and questioned the police for not giving out the picture of the suspect. Victoria got to her office, discussing with her boss, who told her that her story would not be published because it lacked proof. Victoria tried to object to her boss's decision, but her boss reminds her how her mother was killed following a similar story. Here is Professor Stella Craig, the Director General of the Nigeria Energy and Oil Company, who received a call from Angel's gang, who kidnapped her husband and baby. Professor Craig offered to give them money, which was rejected, but she was asked to pick one from either her husband or her child. Her baby cries over the phone, and Professor Craig begs Angel not to kill her child. However, Angel shoots the baby. Mr. Craig cries aloud, and Professor Craig also cries bitterly. The following day, the resignation of Professor Craig was announced in the news broadcast, which led to a protest demanding justice for Professor Craig. At General Issa's house, Dio and some other politicians were with him. After watching the broadcast of Professor Craig's resignation, General announced that his son, Jubri Dauda, would be the new DG of Nigeria Energy and Oil Company. In a church gathering where Paul was preaching, his son Damilola, on the other hand, was in a cab heading to church as he had earlier promised his father sent him a message. At the checkpoint, Damilola was stopped and the security men questioned him. He told them he was heading to church. However, the security men accused him of being a fraudster. One of the security men took Damilola's picture, sent to his boss, and called his boss, who told him to carry on with the operation. Took Damilola to the poolside, instructed him to kneel, and shot him dead. Here in the church, Paul was still preaching when the cab driver ran in to inform him of the incident. Paul got to the poolside, sat beside his son's corpse, crying, and then the police arrived and took the corpse away. Paul returned home heartbroken, mourning his son. The following day, Paul was in a cab and heard the radio news where the police announced the killing of Damilola Idima, the alleged mastermind behind the Craig family kidnap. The police claimed Damilola died in a gunfight with policemen in Lekki. Paul got to the morgue and begged to claim his son's corpse, but he was told that they would not release the criminal's body to the family until investigations were completed. On his way home, walking hopelessly, Victoria approached him and offered to help him investigate and charge the police for unlawful killing, but Paul said he just wanted to bury his son. While they were discussing, Paul's friend drove in and took Paul away. Paul and his friend had a solemn discussion. Paul said God took his son to punish him for his past, but he would not accept them, accusing his son wrongfully. His friend offered to help him get records from the police forcefully, but he declined and told him he had walked away from that life, thought for a while, and left for the police station. Victoria at the police station met an officer who was an informant and begged him for Damilola's case file. Here also, Paul met an officer and requested to see the case file of his son, but the officer told him to follow due process. Paul explained how his effort to follow the right process has been frustrating. Another officer walked in and called him the father of a thief, which got him angry and fought to the officer. Other officers rushed in and apprehended him. While he was being taken to the cell, Victoria cited him, requested to see Paul, and she was granted access. Victoria told Paul that she could help him get Damilola's case file, but Paul asked her to leave him alone. Victoria promised to get his bail the following morning, and she left. That night, Paul was beaten up by some police officers who later dropped him off at the beach. The following morning, Victoria was at Paul's house. While knocking at the door, Paul alighted from a tricycle without saying a word to her. Victoria said she was told that he had been released while trying to sort his bill at the police station, which raised her suspicion. Offered to call a doctor, but Paul declined. She said she had got a copy of his son's case file that shows that the police are trying to pin the kidnapping on his son. Said she knows Professor Craig, but that she has refused to talk to her about it. Paul advised that she should leave the case to God because her life might be in danger. Next scene, Paul calls Aliu that he has an assignment. A man shows a picture of a police officer to some children to monitor his movement. The officer was traced down to a motel where he was making out with a hookup girl. Paul captured him and took him to his house where he kept other officers he had apprehended. Paul tortured them, and after a while the police officers confessed that they were asked to kill Paul's son to replace the son of a politician who was apprehended during the Craig family kidnap but was released. Victoria at Paul's house. After knocking for a while without response, she entered the house and moved around to inspect the house. Paul returned to his living room with his camera, which he had used to record the police officer's confession. Victoria hid herself from Paul, sneaked out, removed the storage drive in Paul's camera, and rushed out. Later, Paul left the officers tied to a street pole with a placard saying "Murderer." Next, Victoria rushed into her boss's office to show her the content of the drive she got from Paul's camera, which had the police officer's confession. Her boss asked her to close the door. Victoria was shocked to see her boss destroy the storage drive, and her boss reminded her of how her mother was killed when she tried to uncover the affairs of dangerous people. Victoria left her office sadly. Immediately, her boss called the Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCO, and told him how she had destroyed the evidence of the confession made by his officers about the killing of Paul's sons, and she demanded settlement from the Senator, Dede. At Dede's house, the Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCO, visited with one of his officers who confessed Paul. Dede expressed his concern about them killing Paul's son. He revealed that Paul is the most dangerous man in the country and mentioned all his past operations. Angel questioned the police officer if he had confessed to Paul, but the police officer denied it. Dede said Paul needed to be eliminated so that he would not come after his son, who was exchanged with Damilola. While going in the car, the Deputy Commissioner of Police told Angel that they would need more resources to eliminate Paul. Angel said it should make him a national problem, and the DCO asked how they could achieve that. Then Angel ordered the driver take the next turn and park. Angel, the police officer, and the DCO alighted. Then Angel brought out his gun and shot the police officer and told the DCO that the officer's death was the answer to his question, saying Paul Edima shot a decorated officer, returned to the car and drove away. Victoria in her office received a call and told her colleague that the police had found the bodies of Mr. Craig and the baby. On her way out, she was stopped by Paul, who asked for the camera drive that she had taken. He responded that the editor destroyed it, but offered to help uncover who killed his son. Victoria brought Paul to Professor Craig. She said they believed that the same people who killed Craig's family killed Paul's sons too. Professor Craig spoke bitterly, and she wondered who would have wanted her out, but she said she recalled that the threat began when she started working on the files of some oil block. She handed the files over to Paul. Victoria was at Paul's house, both going through the files collected. Angel and his armed gang alighted from a boat. Here, Victoria discovered an oil company file whose ownership was confidential. She called Paul's attention and told her to walk away. Shortly, Victoria saw a news broadcast where the Commissioner of Police declared Paul wanted following the killing of the police officer. Showed Paul asking what he did, but Paul said there was no time and told Victoria that the less she knew, the better for her. While they were still talking, Paul sensed that Angel and his gang had invaded his house, hid Victoria in his secret room, and took his weapon. In the room, Victoria saw her pictures and some other relevant documents about her. Paul sneaked out and attacked Angel's gang one after the other. After killing some of Angel's gang, Paul sat down exhausted. Angel walked in, talking to Paul, and heard Victoria's voice. Angel saw Victoria where she was hiding, pointed a gun at her, but Paul stood up to stop him and ordered him to sit down. They exchanged words. Paul asked if his assassination order was given by the general, but Angel revealed that it was Dede. Then Paul told Angel that he demands a live video confession by Angel, Dede, and his son, admitting what they did to clear Damilola's name. Paul took Victoria out of his house, and immediately the house exploded. The following day, Paul visited his friend for his support. Thereafter, he met General. General offered him the sum of $1 million to compensate him for his son's death and asked him to walk away, but Paul rejected the offer. He wanted his son's body and a live video confession by Angel, Dede, and his son, and he walked away. Here is Dede and Angel with the general. The general slapped Dede and asked him why they had to kill Paul's son. After he had remained silent for 24 years, General, after expressing his displeasure, told them he had ordered a fumigation by someone who would never fail. Here is the appointed person for the fumigation carrying out his job, killed several people, and walked away. The commissioner of police visited where the fumigation took place and saw the inscription on the wall saying, "They killed my son." He was infuriated and declared Paul Edima as the #1 public enemy. Victoria visited her father, Father Omotosho, chatting and laughing while the father stepped out. Victoria searched his drawer and quickly snagged some documents. The father walked in, reading out, saying, "To all the mom we lost on June 4th. Paul with his friend, who showed him evidence of what General did to cover up his illegal mining, and told Paul that going after Dede will make him to become a threat to General's oil and gas interests." Paul expressed that he had nothing to lose any longer, but his friend told him that he had the girl, advised him to run or hide for a while. Also told him to get in touch with Richard. Then saying, Paul, in search of Richard to seek support, meets a woman in a shop and asks her for a Peruvian jacquard, which is a code to see Big Daddy. The woman declines initially. Paul begs her and eventually asks him to follow her. A spy from General called after sighting Paul. The woman got to her office and told Paul how he saved her husband, saying she knew General was after him. General had killed Richard but left Paul because he gave him the black book and revealed that she has always been the Big Daddy. While they were talking, General's fumigator got to the building and killed the security men searching for Paul. Paul said he could take away the General's power if she helped him. Big Daddy saw the fumigator through the CCTV and instructed Paul to leave immediately. Paul runs out, the police and the fumigator trail him, and he gets sighted by the fumigator but manages to escape before he can be shot. Later that night, the commissioner of police had a phone conversation with Dede. Dede expressed his disappointment to the police for their failure to capture Paul, but the commissioner assured him that he would be apprehended soon. After the phone conversation, the commissioner walked into her office, turned on the bulb, and saw Paul sitting holding a gun. Paul ordered her to sit down and revealed how his son was framed and killed by some police officer. The commissioner yelled at him that he does not have an evidence to prove his claim. Paul showed her Victoria's picture, seek for her protection, and promised to support the commissioner in getting the criminals. Victoria, on the other hand, went back to Paul's house, searched through the rubble, and retrieved some files. The following day, the deputy commissioner of police walked into the commissioner's office. He sarcastically commended him for his hard work on Paul's case. He had how Damilola was captured, and the DCO explained that it was an anonymous tip that the boy was armed and dangerous. He further asked about the type of rifle that was retrieved from Damilola, as the details were missing in his case file and no weapon in the inventory, but the DCO had no explanation. The commissioner demanded a full statement as to why the innocent boy was murdered. Suddenly, fumigator shot the DCO through the window from the adjacent building. While the fumigator was leaving the building, Big Daddy shot him dead. At Father's church, Victoria came with a book she found at Paul's house. She was surprised to see Paul with the father. The three sat when Paul narrated that in the past there was a drug trafficking boom between 1982 and 1984, which General Issa saw as an opportunity, and how he was recruited as a private soldier by the general. He said there were young men trained by the best to do the worst and fail the least. To ease the flow of drug deals, the press was bought and anyone who didn't fall in line was eliminated. Then they had an operation called fumigation, meaning everything that moved needed to be killed. Their target was a journalist who had uncovered General's biggest drug smuggler, Dede. The journalist was tracked to her house in Surulere and said the woman was killed and her baby was taken away. Victoria shouted and asked when the date was, and he said June 4th, 1996. Victoria, in a shaky voice, recalled the date and ascertained that it was Paul who killed her mother. She cried, told Paul never to come near her again, expressed her disappointment at her motor shop, and walked out sobbing. On her way out, she was forcibly taken by Angel's gang, who invaded the church premises. Some entered the church and released gunshots that hit Father motor shop. Paul engaged them in gun battles and killed some, but others escaped, taking Victoria away. A few moments later, Father motor shop passed on due to the gunshot. Paul received a call from General, who admired his strength for being hard to kill. However, he said he was happy that Paul's life insurance policy, which is Victoria, had been taken, and ordered him to bring himself to Kaduna for Victoria to be released within 24 hours. Big Daddy drove in and asked Paul how he intended to take away General's power. Then Paul revealed that in the past, when he refused to kill Victoria, General was going to send Angel to kill her. General said if he wanted the child to live, it must be a life for a life. Ordered him to take his own life if he is brave, but Paul said exceptions can be made. General asked for the value to justify the exception. Then Paul told him about the book, which he used to document all his missions, operations, and everyone involved in the trade. We cited some of the documentation in the book. General Issa agreed to collect the book to leave Victoria. Paul took General and Dede to his library, handed the book to them, and walked away. Now in the present, Paul told Big Daddy that he is he's going to take back everything from General for Victoria's sake, that he has some friends among General's boys. Next scene, here in Kaduna, Paul and Big Daddy met Tanko. Paul describes the layout of General's farm and maps out how they will penetrate. Tanko shows them the ranch on the map where Victoria was kept and that there is only one way in. Paul says there will be a need to distract the police by engaging them somewhere else to carry out their plan. Tanko went to the stadium and planted some explosive devices. Shortly after, the stadium area exploded, everyone running helter-skelter. Police and other security agents left their checkpoint, including those at General's farm. Moving to the explosion scene, Angel called the farm squad to get support. Big Daddy and Paul observed from afar. Paul saying he had to go in unarmed, but their plan to work. Shortly, Big Daddy's girls arrived with arms together with Tanko. Next scene, Paul walked in unarmed as planned to meet General. Here, Big Daddy's girls mixed with General's farm workers clearing the farm. Paul, tied up in the ranch with Victoria, pleaded for her forgiveness and told Victoria if she could take all of them down, that she would finish the work her mother started. But Victoria yelled at him and said she wished him a sad, horrible death. General and his men walked in and reminded Victoria how Paul killed her mother. Angel handed her a cocked gun and Victoria whimpered in rage, pointing the gun at Paul as General continues to remind her of the sad story of her growing up without a mother. But Paul told her not to allow General to turn her into one of them. Angel shouted, "Do it!" He fired a shot but missed. At the farm, one of the farm squad suspected Big Daddy's girl but was shot from behind. Others started taking out the farm squad one after the other. General told Paul that the girl he came for would gladly kill him and laughed sarcastically. Paul said this can only work when he has full control. Right now, he does not. Big Daddy and her girls walked into General's library, pointed a gun at the librarian and ordered him to open the safe. Here at the ranch, General called for the police, but he was told the police were responding to terrorism. He further told them that the terrorists were attacking his farm and ordered Angel to go to the farm library to protect the safe. Big Daddy collected some records and took the safe. While leaving, they were blocked by the police. The farm squad and Angel also drove in. Big Daddy called one of our girls to explode them with continuous gun battle while she drove away. However, she was pursued by police, Angel, and other farm squad. Big Daddy and her girls pulled over in a narrow garage, dropped their weapons, and walked out to surrender. The police mounted the entrance. Angel walked up to Big Daddy and requested she hand over the safe to him, but Big Daddy told him that he had a bigger problem than the safe. Angel went to inspect the car and saw a record tape playing on their laptop being transmitted to the army unknown to Angel. Angel pointed a gun at Big Daddy, demanding where the video had been sent to. Angel looked back and saw the police drive away. At the ranch, General ordered one of his boys to shoot Paul. The boy asked Paul if they were coming. Paul said yes, and the boy dropped the gun. Others also dropped their gun and left, leaving General alone. Victoria picked one of the guns and pointed the gun at General. The army came into the farm, shooting all the farm guards. At the ranch, General eased and left. Back at the garage, Angel bragged about being in control, but Big Daddy told him she is a woman that cannot be controlled. Then Big Daddy's girls surrounded the place with their guns cocked. Then Angel dropped his gun and surrendered. Here is the safe being taken across the lake. Paul met General at his poolside. General bragged that he would never spend a day in a civilian court. Paul told him that it was not the civilians that wanted him, but the Nigerian army, due to the murder of 4 officers of the Nigerian army during their illegal mining operation at Zamfara. Paul told him there is a way out if he is brave. Passed a gun to him to take his life. General picked the gun, points at himself, but suddenly points the gun at Paul and tries to shoot. However, the gun was without a bullet. Paul made jest of him for being a coward and walked away. Victoria was seen driving, recalling Paul's last note to her, telling her he may never see him again, but left her with the task of opening the safe, the black book full of unspeakable things, and bringing the powerful people to justice. On the other hand, people protested for an end to bad leadership. The commissioner of police watched Dede being arrested. The general was apprehended by the army, and Angel was hid in front of Professor Craig. Victoria went to her boss, took her files away, and wished her goodbye angrily, knowing she betrayed her mother. And here, Victoria opened the safe, took the black book, and read the contents in tears. The last scene shows Paul crying as he buries his son. Victoria locates him, and both look at each other sorrowfully from a distance.
What do you think about this movie? Which movie would you like me to recap next? Use the comments section. Please subscribe, turn on notification bell and leave a like to help this channel out.